Welcome to Assembly Calendar. I'm Ted Flint. With us today, Assemblyman Dan Burling, who serves the 147th Assembly District, which includes the counties of Allegheny, Livingston, Wyoming, and Genesee, parts of those counties.
Right.
All right, Dan, nice to have you.
Well, glad to be here. It's a
Middle of
little hot out there.
It is. Plenty hot. Mid-90s by the time this program airs.
Yeah,
I guess it's going to cool off to the low 80s.
I think it probably will.
All right. You're here about a month removed from the end of the legislative session, and it was a busy session.
It was a very busy
by all
session,
accounts, and
yeah.
a successful one, some would say. The governor's happy with it. He had his 3 signature issues. He got adopted: ethics reform, the tax cap. Big fan of the tax cap, or you're against? You didn't vote for it.
Well, you know, I mean, the tax cap is something that this conference, our conference, is the one that promoted the tax cap.
Right.
We're the one that came up with the idea in the first place. And to cut to the quick, I voted against the tax cap. The reason I voted against the tax cap is that it didn't have did not have mandate relief, significant mandate relief for the counties. And when you continue to heap extra cost on the counties and the municipalities, for instance, a good example is Medicaid or welfare.
Yeah.
And it keeps going up and up and up, and you tell them, no, we're going to raise the welfare part that you have to pay by 3 or 4%, but we're only going to let you raise taxes by 2%. That can't happen. What's going to happen? What the tax cap is supposed to do, and we dearly need property tax relief here in New York State. I mean, everybody pays terrible property taxes here in New York State. But to tell the people, the public out there, that we're going to come up with a tax cap, a 2% tax cap, and what is this going to mean to you? You're going to see your taxes stabilize or go down, is a fallacy without reducing the mandates on the counties. Now, I was a county legislator for 6 years, and we didn't raise the tax rate, folks. The tax rate the whole time I was in there for 6 years. But we raised revenue for the county. We had to because the Medicaid kept going up and up and up. How did we do that? You send your assessors out and you raise your assessment. So you know, folks, what happens when your assessment goes up, your taxes go up. The tax rate stays the same, but your assessment goes up. Another thing, too, this can be overridden with 60%. In other words, if you've got a board of 7 people, if 4 people vote for it, it's passed. You need significant mandate relief, and actually, you need to make it a little tougher. As far as I'm concerned, there are only 13 of us that didn't vote for this. But you know, someone had to be the devil's advocate. Someone had to point out to the people and take show the other side of this issue, that it's not going to do what it's supposed to do. It was a political ploy, as far as I'm concerned. If we had done it the way the Republican minority wanted to do it, that would have been significant mandate relief, and the tax cap would have had some bite to it, and it would have done what it's supposed to do. But the way the tax cap is now is really going to hurt our upstate economies, our upstate schools and municipalities in Western New York. Now you take Long Island and Westchester and Suffolk and some of those rich areas, they raise their tax rate 1.5%. They're bringing millions and millions of dollars. We raise it 1.5% with our low tax base that we have out in our area, and you don't raise anything. Raise very, very little. So to me, it was, I had to point out, I got up on the floor, I think there's a tape on it, where I got up and explained my vote on this.
I think we don't have the tape.
We don't have the tape.
Program.
Well, anyways, folks.
There may be a tape.
You're getting a tape right now. You're
right.
hearing it right from me right now. But, you know, I call it a spoof on the public. And I said, no, I wish this wouldn't be true, but folks, I want you to take a look at your taxes a year and a half, and 2 years from now. You tell me whether or not this tax cap did any good for you.
Yeah, so within a year, people will know if
Sure
their
they
taxes have gone up or not.
Without mandate relief, without reducing the burden of welfare on the counties, taxes are going to continue to go up.
The mandate relief piece, as we mentioned in a radio show recently, $127 million, which is
it's peanuts.
Yeah,
$127 million. It sounds to the average person, $127 million is no small potatoes, but a county like Genesee, their budget, the county budget is, I think, it just about mimics whatever in millions of dollars, what the state's is in billions of dollars. But it's probably about $130 million right now. That's nothing. You spread that out across 62 counties, or how many counties are out in New York State, and out on Long Island, and it's nothing. It's peanuts.
127 million. I think the federal government just spent that in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about a couple of gun control issues. You're a staunch defender of the Second Amendment.
Staunch defender of the Second Amendment, an A+ rated legislator, have always been. Life member of the NRA, avid hunter, fisherman, trapper.
The Second Amendment, the U.S. Supreme Court has said, is an individual right. It constitutes an individual's right to own a firearm. This piece here, you spoke on the floor, this would require semi-automatic pistols to be micro-stamped. You want to set this up for us? What is micro-stamping?
Well, what micro-stamping would do is there would be some type of a etching or marking on the firing pin or on the chamber of the pistol, or maybe both, so that when the shell went into the gun and it was fired, if the shell was ejected and they found the shells on the ground or at the crime scene, they could pick them up and identify the gun, where it came from. Here's the problem with this, and we'll probably show the tape. Number one, all you take is you take a woman's fingernail file, and you can file that off of that firing pin. You can exchange firing pins. Firing pins break, you replace them. You can file the markings off. You can, if you're firing a revolver, a revolver that has a cylinder, each round, the shells don't go anywhere. They have to be ejected as an ejector. You flip it over, you eject in your hand, you stick them in your pocket.
I want you to repeat yourself. Let's you make the list here.
Let's take a look at the tape here.
We'll look at it, and we're back with Assemblyman Dan Burling.
I'm just going to go back. We have a similar bill that was done almost 10 years ago. That was to identify cartridges that were fired on a crime scene. The state police have to fire each gun. They have to keep a database of this. There's a cost associated with that. In the 10 years that I know of, unless somebody can prove me wrong, we have not had one conviction. This micro-stamping of the firing pins on semi-automatic pistols, it's fraught with problems. Number one, if I use a revolver, and if I'm going to commit a crime and I'm a professional criminal, I'm not going to use a handgun that ejects shells in the ground. I'm going to use a revolver, which actually is much more reliable, because if your hammer drops on a dead round, you immediately pull the trigger and it goes to another. If you have an automatic gun, you have to eject the shell and start all over again. These are very easily removed, very easily, or you can interchange parts. You can bring a gun in from out of state. This legislation is fraught with problems. It can easily be circumvented by criminals who do this as a living. And it's going to cost each person in New York State who buys a pistol money. I tell you what, if it's going to cost me $5 to $50 more per pistol, then I might go down to Pennsylvania or in Florida and buy my pistols. I don't think it's. I think the general purpose of it, to try to prevent crime and try to catch criminals, is a good one. I just don't think that it's practical, and I don't think it's workable, and I urge a no vote. Thank you.
All right, so many of these gun bills are one-house bills. Was that the case here?
Yeah, I believe it's just a one-house bill, just carried by one of the Democrats in the Assembly. But you got to understand what these people are trying to do. They don't want anybody to own a gun, okay? And if we take away the guns from everybody, the criminals do things illegal. Do you think if you pass a law that says it's illegal for you to have a gun, that they're going to abide by that law? Mm-hmm. The only people that are going to have guns, if they take away our pistols and our guns, are the criminals. And they're going to go to somebody's house and they're going to have a pretty good assurance, if that was to pass, take away our guns, that the person doesn't have any means to defend themselves. And there's going to be more break-ins. Australia, good example. They took away the guns, crime rate went up.
Same in Britain.
It's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. We've just got liberal people down the New York City area, who haven't got any idea what it's like to hunt or to target shoot or claybird shoot or trap shoot. Mm-hmm. And they just think all guns are bad and they want to take them away from everybody. It's ridiculous.
Cultural divide on this issue. Let's take a look at this. You're speaking on allowing rifle hunting in Wyoming County. Let's look at it. We're back with Assemblyman Dan Burling.
Assembly 2986A, Rules Report Number 210. Mr. Burling, an act to amend the Environmental Conservation Law.
On a motion by Mr. Burling, the Senate bill is before the House. The Senate bill is advanced. Read the last section.
This act shall take effect immediately.
Record the vote.
Ayes 90, noes 6.
Bill is passed.
All right, not much opposition there. We're going to, you want to follow up?
You know, basically, I was asked to promote a bill that would allow center fire rifle hunting in Wyoming County. Up until this time, we could only use shotguns, which are not as accurate and don't have the killing power that a rifle does. And the bill, from what I understand, is on the governor's desk and should be signed any time now. Of course, if he lets it sit for 10 days without doing anything, it becomes law anyway. So, but at any rate, this is something that the deer hunters in Wyoming County have been anxiously waiting for. So I was glad to do it.
Okay, let's talk a little bit. You're a pharmacist, a lot of people out there know, and this next piece would prohibit health insurers actually making people buy their medications through the mail.
Right. What's happening now is some of the insurance carriers mandate, they don't allow people freedom of choice. They force them to get their prescriptions through mail order. Now, I'll tell you what's bad about it. Number one, they don't have anybody to talk to. They don't have a pharmacist to speak to face to face. When these medications are shipped, who knows, are they in the hold of an airplane below zero at 35,000 feet? Are they in a UPS at a brown truck, you know, in 85-degree heat? What do you think about the medication to be sitting out in a UPS truck right now today at 92 degrees?
I wouldn't want to take it.
Well, I'll tell you, sure you wouldn't want to take it, and that's what happened. But all with the pharmacists want, and this is a two-house bill, and it did pass. We just want to be able to compete on an even basis. In other words, if there's a big discount to whoever wants this insurance, a union or a school district or whatever, give us an opportunity to match it. That's all. But at the same time, you've got people who want to do business locally, want that freedom of choice. And I have had an awful lot of patients come into me, my drugs didn't come in the mail. What do I do? Well, you know, of course, we try to help them out.
Sure.
But I mean, I had a child that needed his anti-rejection drugs. He was a liver transplant patient, kidney transplant patient. And we had to get the mail order company to stop the shipment because I said, and then I had to fill the prescription for him.
All right, that's obviously important stuff. Let's take a look at that, and we'll come back and wrap it up with Assemblyman Dan Burling.
Actually, billions of dollars of money leaving New York State to New Jersey, Mississippi, Texas, Florida, where mail order houses are doing business. And all it does is it prohibits an insurer from mandating that people buy their prescriptions through the mail order. And I can tell you from my personal experience that people find this very, very distasteful. Matter of fact, the interesting thing about it is when they first get the prescription, they come to me and I work out all the problems with them, any side effects or any changes in dosage. And once we get the patient stabilized on that for about 2 weeks, then the prescription goes out of the state to someplace else. All this would do is allow the independent retail and chain pharmacies to be able to accept the same terms and conditions as the mail order house and be able to compete and keep business in New York State. So it's a good bill. It's a small thing that we can do to help the economy of New York State, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
We had 2 no votes on that.
2 no votes. It's almost unanimous. All right, we got about 10 seconds, just enough time to say that you may be back in town.